The flame in the heart, from arrogance to adoration of the Prophet, peace be upon him. It was a night thick with stars, a silent sky cast over the ancient city of Damascus, where marble courtyards echoed with the distant hum of merchants packing up after a long day. A man stood atop a high terrace, his arms crossed behind his back, eyes like glass as they surveyed the city he believed he had conquered, not with swords or blood, but with words. His name was Zayd al-Kindi. Zayd was known as the Lion of Logic, a philosopher trained in Greek thought, Persian literature, and the rational sciences. He was sharp-tongued, arrogant, and dismissive of anything that lay beyond reason. He debated scholars, shamed clerics, and scoffed at sufis. What made Zayd particularly notorious was his open contempt for religious devotion, especially for the followers of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. To him, love for a man who had walked the earth over 1,000 years ago was mere sentimentality, not befitting of the intellect. The dead cannot hear you, he once scoffed in a crowded mosque courtyard when an old man wept at the mention of the Prophet's name. Nor can your tears bring light to your ignorance. His fame grew, as did his arrogance. Young students flocked to his lectures. His scrolls were read in Baghdad and Andalusia. But the soul of Zayd was hollow, silent, dry, and cold. Until one day, something began to shift. It began not with a book, but a beggar. One rain-slick evening, Zayd was returning from a symposium, his cloak drenched and his sandals sticky with mud. As he turned a corner near the Umayyad Mosque, he saw an old man sitting beneath the arch, holding out a bowl of dates and reciting durud in a trembling voice. Every Allahumma, Allah, Muhammad, echoed like a whisper from the heart of the universe. Zayd's eyes narrowed. "Fool," he muttered, tossing a coin without stopping. But he didn't sleep that night. The man's voice haunted him. Not the words, but the emotion. The rhythm wasn't just devotion, it was love. Pure, painful, personal. Over the next few weeks, Zayd saw him again and again, always in the same spot, always repeating salawat, eyes closed as if he stood before someone real. Curiosity, the one weakness of every philosopher, began to gnaw at him. "Why do you repeat his name so endlessly?" Zayd asked one afternoon, crouching beside him. The old man opened his eyes and smiled. "Because it is the key that unlocked my prison." Zayd frowned. "What prison?" "Myself." Zayd laughed, dismissive. "You think love is superior to knowledge?" The man didn't answer. He just placed a small book in Zayd's hands and said, "Read with your heart, not with your pride." Zayd scoffed, but he took the book anyway. It was a collection of hadith, written in an old calligraphic script. Stories, simple ones, of how the Prophet cried over the deaths of children, how he walked barefoot among the poor, how he forgave those who stoned him in Taif, how he rose in the night, not for himself, but to plead for us. Zayd tossed it aside. Yet that night, in his dreams, he saw a figure cloaked in light, weeping beneath a tree. No face, only sorrow. When he woke up, his chest was heavy, as if a stone had been placed upon it. He returned to the book. Then again the next night, and the night after. One night, while reading the account of how the Prophet buried his daughter with his own hands, his fingers trembled. His lips moved involuntarily. "Allahumma, Allah Muhammad." He froze. His own voice had betrayed him. The next morning, Zayd visited the mosque, not to mock, not to debate, but to listen. And that is when he met Yusuf ibn Sa'di. Yusuf was a Sufi scholar known for his calm presence and piercing eyes. He had once been a merchant, then a warrior, before turning to the inner path of love for the Prophet, peace be upon him. He welcomed Zayd with warmth, but said little. "I don't believe in saints," Zayd said on their first meeting. "You will," Yusuf smiled, "when you stop believing in yourself." Zayd frowned. "Are you mocking me?" "No," Yusuf replied. "I am inviting you." "Inviting me to what?" "To love." Thus began Zayd's real journey. He would sit with Yusuf in the evenings, learning not from scrolls, but from silence, stories, poetry. He learned the Qasida Alberta, the ode written in love for the Prophet by Imam al-Baziri. When Yusuf recited it, It felt as if every line was melting the ice that had caged Zayd's heart for decades. But the true turning point came in a strange, almost mystical encounter. It was the night of the 12th of Rabi al-Awwal. Yusuf asked Zayd to accompany him to a remote village where the mawlid would be held. Zayd was hesitant, even embarrassed, but curiosity overcame pride. The village was glowing with lanterns. Children sang nashts. Old men recited seerah. Women wept softly behind curtains as the life of the prophet, peace be upon him, was narrated. When they reached the climax, when the prophet, peace be upon him, passed from this world, there was not a dry eye in the room. Zayd felt a lump in his throat. He wanted to cry, but resisted, until an old woman leaned close and whispered, "Don't be ashamed to cry for the one who cried for you before you were born." Zayd broke. He wept, openly, unashamedly. That night, Zayd dreamed again. But this time he was not alone. He was walking through a desert, lost and parched, when he saw a man in white standing near a well. The man turned, and though his face was veiled in light, his voice was clear. "Zayd, why did you hate me? I did not know you," Zayd replied, sobbing. "And now, I love you." He woke up trembling. From that day, Zayd changed. He abandoned his podiums. He replaced his lectures with gatherings of dhikr. He wore simpler clothes, ate humbler meals, and spent his wealth on building wells, sponsoring orphans, and supporting students of the Deen. But more than anything, Zayd became known for one thing: his endless salawat. Wherever he went, he whispered, sometimes aloud, sometimes just in his chest, "Allahumma ala Muhammad." He composed poems, long and beautiful, about the sandals of the prophet, peace be upon him, the sweat of his brow, the tears in his prayers, the dust on his cloak. Scholars who once debated him now came to learn from him. One such scholar, surprised by his transformation, asked him, "What made you leave all your logic and turn to this path?" Zayd smiled and replied, "Logic took me to the door, but love opened it." He died in sujud on a Friday, just after Far. In his hand was a worn scroll, one line visible in faded ink. "O my beloved, peace be upon him, if I could give this heart another 1,000 lives, each would beat only for you." The people of Damascus wept. His students carried his janazah on their shoulders, reciting salawat until their voices cracked. And in that corner near the Umayyad mosque, the old man was seen once more, smiling through tears. He whispered, "Ya Rasoolullah, peace be upon him, another one has come home."